2 weeks ago, my sister-in-law, let's call her Sil, pulled one of the most spiteful, vindictive stunts I could have imagined. She not only had an affair with my high school ex, but she also decided to bring him as her plus one to my wedding, just to get back at me. But before I could even react, karma took care of the situation in the most poetic way. I, 29F, married my incredible husband, 30M, recently. He's truly my everything. The first man I've trusted after a toxic relationship with my ex. But before I dive into that, let's talk about my sister-in-law. To say Sil and I have never gotten along would be an understatement. From day one, she's had an attitude toward me, and frankly, I can't figure out why. It feels like she's always trying to throw shade, using backhanded compliments like, "You look better than I expected for someone from a poor family," or "You're lucky you're even somewhat smart, considering your looks probably wouldn't get you far." It's honestly baffling. Despite all of this, I've tried to keep the peace. I didn't want to be the cause of a rift between my husband and his family, so I let a lot slide. I was confident in my relationship and in myself, so her petty remarks never really bothered me, just amazed me, honestly. But after my fiancé and I got engaged, things went downhill. I thought maybe if I let her help with the wedding planning, it would warm her up to me, so I tried to include her. Big mistake. She turned into a nightmare, criticizing every decision I made, throwing fits when she didn't get her way, and accusing me of excluding family when I chose my best friend as my maid of honor. At that point, I told her to back off until the big day. I thought I could finally have a peaceful wedding day. I was wrong. The wedding day chaos. Sil showed up late to the ceremony, and to be honest, I was kind of relieved. At least I'd get some time without her drama. But the moment she arrived, I knew trouble was about to strike. She walked in with my ex-boyfriend. For some background, this guy was the first man I ever dated, and also the most abusive. He cheated on me, humiliated me, and made me question my self-worth. It took years to rebuild my confidence after him, and I've only dated one person since, my husband, who is everything my ex wasn't. But seeing him at my wedding was like a slap in the face. I pulled Sil aside during the reception, asking why on earth she brought my ex to my wedding. She didn't even care, just brushed me off and told me I shouldn't be upset because I should have moved on by now. It was clear she did it just to spite me. I told my husband, and he was furious, ready to throw both of them out immediately. But I didn't want to make a scene on our special day, so I asked him to let it go. I tried to focus on having a good time, though inside, I was absolutely livid. But karma had other plans. The ultimate payback. About an hour into the reception, Sil's long-distance boyfriend showed up. My husband had invited him as a surprise for Sil, thinking it would be sweet for them to reunite after months apart. What we didn't know was that their relationship was on the brink of falling apart, and for good reason. As soon as he walked in and saw Sil with my ex, he completely lost it. He grabbed the microphone, demanded attention, and in front of everyone, announced that Sil had been cheating on him for months. He even went as far as to say he had been snooping through her social media and found out she had been texting multiple guys, including my ex. The room fell silent. Sil started crying, trying to explain herself, but her boyfriend wasn't having it. He stormed out after throwing down the mic, and as if that wasn't enough, my ex added fuel to the fire by loudly claiming he didn't even know Sil was in a relationship. The guests were in shock, whispering and staring. It was a total disaster. My husband and I had enough, so we had venue staff escort both Sil and my ex out of the wedding. The rest of the night was awkward, but we made the best of it. The drama was all anyone could talk about, though. It was like we were living through a soap opera. The aftermath. Since then, Sil has bombarded me with messages, begging me to help clear her name. She claims she didn't know her boyfriend was coming and insists that I somehow set her up by inviting him. She says she didn't mean to ruin my wedding and that I'm overreacting by ignoring her. I'm still furious with her, but I'll admit, part of me feels a little bad. She got humiliated in front of everyone, and while she absolutely deserved it, it was a lot to witness. Some family members have reached out, telling me I should hear her out, but I don't know. I just don't think I can after what she did. AITA for refusing to help her after everything that happened? Update. First off, I did not expect this post to get so much attention. Thank you for all the comments, advice, and support. Some of you had great questions, so here's the update. Did your husband do anything about his sister after the wedding? Yes, he did. He's done with her. He told Sil she wasn't welcome in our lives until she took full responsibility for her actions and apologized, not just to me, but to everyone she dragged into her mess, she tried to argue, even accusing me of stealing her brother. We couldn't believe it. My husband told her he wasn't entertaining her drama anymore, and as far as he's concerned, their relationship is on pause until she grows up. What about her parents? Why haven't they stepped in? Oh, they have, just not the way she expected. After hearing everything, my husband's parents are furious with her. They told her she embarrassed the family and have temporarily cut her off financially. She's been leaning on them for money for years, mostly because she's never been able to hold down a steady job. Right now, she's staying on friends' couches since they won't let her move back in with them. Naturally, my SIL is losing it. She's been bombarding both my husband and me with texts and voicemails, claiming we've ruined her life. We've mostly ignored it. Why didn't you and your husband kick her out sooner? Trust me, I wanted to, but I didn't want to stir up more drama at my wedding than she had already caused. Many of the guests, especially those on my side, knew who my ex was and how he treated me, so, when she brought him as her plus one, she was already getting weird looks. My maid of honor even asked me if she should kick my SIL and her ex out, but I told her no. I didn't want to make things even worse by throwing him out, especially with the way people were already gossiping. Plus, it was clear my husband wasn't thrilled either. He hated having my ex there, but like me, he didn't want to add more fuel to the fire. Looking back, I'm relieved we didn't escalate it, since karma did the job for us. The aftermath. A few days after the wedding, my husband got a message from her boyfriend. He apologized for the scene he caused, but said he couldn't stay quiet when he saw her with my ex. My husband reassured him that we didn't blame him. If anything, we were grateful for him exposing her. That's when her boyfriend revealed even more dirt on her. He'd been suspicious for months, because she'd been pulling away. They'd been in a long-distance relationship for 2 years, but the last few months had been rough. She stopped answering his calls regularly, got cagey about their plans, and avoided seeing him. So, he dug into her social media accounts and found some jaw-dropping stuff. She wasn't just talking to my ex, she was messaging multiple men. While it's unclear if she was actively dating them, she was definitely leading them on. He also found out she had reconnected with my ex over a year ago and had been seeing him secretly ever since. And here's the kicker, she'd been using her boyfriend's money to fund her lifestyle. She told him she needed help with bills, but instead, she was spending it on herself and apparently on dates with other men. He's now taking legal action to get some of that money back. He's spoken to a lawyer and is building a case against her. As for my ex, he's been lurking on social media and even tried reaching out to me. I blocked him immediately. Just knowing he's trying to stir the pot is unsettling. My SIL's boyfriend also told us that my ex had contacted him, saying he didn't know she was in a relationship. He claimed she made the first move on him. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter, I'm done with him. Her meltdown. My SIL's behavior has completely spiraled. She's been texting and calling nonstop, begging me to help clear her name. She's telling anyone who will listen that we set her up by inviting her boyfriend. But honestly, my husband invited him as a surprise because he thought they were in a happy, committed relationship. He wanted to do something nice for her, since she's the type who would probably complain about being alone at the wedding. I wasn't expecting her to cause drama with her plus one. She's been spinning wild stories to mutual friends, claiming I deliberately ruined her life and that her actions were exaggerated, but her family isn't buying it. They're just as fed up with her as we are. My husband's mom told us my SIL caused a scene at a family gathering, accusing their youngest sibling of taking sides and demanding they convince my husband to forgive her. When that didn't work, she stormed out and hasn't contacted them since. This isn't the first time she's crossed the line with her family either. A few months ago, she borrowed money from her parents, claiming it was for car repairs, but they later found out she spent it on a luxury spa day. She also had a fallout with a cousin over rumors she spread about their relationship. It's like she thrives on chaos and drama, and I've had enough. It's satisfying knowing that all her mess has finally come back to bite her. Where do things stand now? My husband and I are focusing on our marriage and moving forward. His sister is not a part of our lives, and honestly, we're fine with that. Her ex has been nothing but classy throughout all of this, and we wish him the best. As for me, I'm still furious with her, but I feel a strange sense of relief knowing she can't hurt us anymore. Do I feel bad for her? Not really, she did this to herself, and it's not my job to fix it. I do wonder, though, if I should at least hear her out one day, just to get closure on why she chose to bring my ex to my wedding. For now, though, I'm sticking with blocking her and focusing on the people who bring positivity into my life. Thanks again for all your support. You've made this whole mess a lot easier to handle. I'll update you again if anything major happens, but for now, I'm content leaving the drama behind. Update 2. So, it's me again. Things have gotten even crazier. A few days after my last update, my SIL showed up at our house, no call, no text, just knocked on the door. My husband wasn't home, so it was just me. When I opened the door, she was there, crying, mascara running, the whole dramatic scene. She begged me to let her explain. She claimed she didn't mean to hurt me by bringing my ex to the wedding. She said she only did it because she felt like I was taking her brother away from her. I honestly couldn't believe my ears. How is that even a valid excuse? If she truly cared about her brother, she would never have done something so destructive. I told her I wasn't interested in her excuses and asked her to leave. That's when she snapped. She started yelling at me, saying I ruined her life, blaming me for everything, from her now ex-boyfriend suing her for thousands of dollars she doesn't have, to her family cutting her off financially. She even accused me of poisoning her brother against her. I tried to stay calm, but she was completely unhinged. I told her she needed to leave, or I'd call the police. She refused at first, yelling on my front porch about how I'd regret what I'd done to her. Eventually, I stood my ground and repeated that I'd call the police if she didn't leave immediately. After a few more minutes of yelling, she finally stormed off, but not before shouting once again that I'd regret this. Honestly, it was scary. The next day, I found out she had taken her meltdown to Facebook. She posted this long, dramatic rant where she accused me of being a manipulative gold digger who turned her brother against his family. She even claimed I was obsessed with my ex and had invited him to the wedding myself. The audacity, that part especially cracked me up, considering everyone who was actually there knows how absurd that is. Thankfully, most of our friends and family weren't buying her story. People started calling her out in the comments, pointing out her lies. A few even messaged me privately to show their support. My husband and I decided not to engage publicly, thinking it was best to let her dig her own grave without giving her the attention she clearly craved. Still, I won't lie, it stung to see all those lies about me, even though I knew they weren't true. I don't like drama, and the last thing I want is for people to think I'm some manipulative villain. It's frustrating that she can't just own up to her mistakes and move on. Meanwhile, her ex-boyfriend has been keeping us updated on his legal battle with her. He's suing her for a lot of money. Apparently, he had given her access to his bank account when she was struggling, wanting to help her out. But after reviewing his statements, he found she had been transferring money into a secret account and using it to fund lavish trips with my ex. According to my ex, these trips were all suggested by my SIL, and she was determined to spoil him. It's honestly wild. She's now in serious financial trouble, and she's been begging him to drop the case, but he's standing firm, and I don't blame him one bit. Hearing about her double life has been eye-opening. I always knew she was manipulative, but I didn't realize just how far she'd go to get what she wanted. She's been lying to everyone, not just me, and now it's all catching up to her. On one hand, I feel relieved that people are finally seeing her for who she truly is. On the other, it's exhausting dealing with the fallout from all her actions. I don't want this to consume my life, but she keeps dragging me back into her mess. For now, my husband and I are staying focused on each other and trying to move on from the drama. It's clear that his sister has no intention of taking responsibility for what she's done, so we've decided to cut her out of our lives completely. We've blocked her on everything, and if she shows up at our door again, we won't hesitate to get authorities involved. As for her ex, we're supporting him however we can. He didn't deserve to be dragged into her mess, and we hope he gets some closure from his case against her. That's all for now. I'll keep you posted if anything else major happens, but honestly, I'm hoping this is the last time we hear from her for a while. Thanks again for all the support. You've been amazing throughout this whole nightmare. Update 3. Hey, it's been a while, about 7 months since my last update, and things have only gotten more intense. I'm here to wrap up the saga of my sister-in-law's meltdown. Honestly, I never thought I'd be typing another update, but since a few people have asked for one, here it is. First off, my SIL's life is in absolute shambles. It's like everything she did to everyone else has come back to her tenfold. Last I heard, she's lost just about everything. My ex-boyfriend dumped her right after the wedding debacle, which isn't surprising given how much she'd lied to him. And things have only gotten worse since then. She's now completely alone and, predictably, blaming everyone but herself for her problems. She's made some disastrous choices, and now she's paying the price. As for the lawsuit, it's still ongoing, but it's not looking good for her. Her ex-boyfriend is moving forward with his case, and it's clear she's in serious trouble. On top of draining his account to fund trips with my ex, she's also been running up expenses on credit cards in his name. He's suing her not only for the money she owes, but also for the emotional distress she caused him. While the case isn't resolved yet, it's obvious she'll face major consequences for her actions. There's even a chance she'll end up declaring bankruptcy, and she could be facing criminal charges. Her ex's lawyer is confident they'll win the case, and it's only a matter of time before she has to pay up. She's dug herself into a deep hole, and now she's stuck. What's even more frustrating is how my SIL is still trying to blame me for everything. After everything she's done, she's telling anyone who will listen that I ruined her life. She hasn't once acknowledged her role in this mess. I know she's trying to manipulate the situation to make herself feel better, but people are seeing right through it. I've had several friends and family members message me, telling me they've heard her lies and don't believe a word of it. Some have even suggested I retaliate. But honestly, I'm over it. She tried to ruin my wedding, and I didn't react then, so I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of a reaction now. Everyone knows she's lying, so there's no need for me to respond. Despite most people being done with her drama, she's still trying to drag more family into it. She tried to get Jake's parents to take her in again, but when they refused, she accused them of abandoning her and choosing Jake over her. They're completely done with her now. They kicked her out after she showed up begging for money, and they've made it clear they won't support her unless she takes responsibility for what she's done and gets her life together. If I'm being honest, it's hard not to feel some sympathy for someone who's clearly spiraling, but at the end of the day, my SIL made her choices. She had so many chances to make things right, but instead, she lied, manipulated, and blamed everyone else. I'm sure I'll get more questions, but to sum it all up, my husband and I have cut her off for good, and we're better off for it. The only way we've gotten any info is through other people telling us about it, and we've pretty much decided to cut that off too. Jake and I have been through enough together to know that we're stronger when we focus on ourselves and not on toxic people. I'm sure my SIL will continue to spiral, but that's her journey now, not ours. We've moved on, and we're not looking back. Thanks again for all the support. You've been incredible through all of this, and I'm glad I could share this journey with you. This is the final update, and honestly, I'm hoping it's the last chapter in this saga.